Welcome back to Your Everyday Joe channel. I'm Your Everyday Joe. We're going to be making a blooming rose breakfast. It's pretty easy to make. We're going to be using just some basic ingredients, and we're going to be cooking it in our power air fryer oven. So there's just a few ingredients that we're going to need here. We're going to use a medium-sized potato, a couple of eggs, one for each Ramekin, 2 ounces of diced ham, 2 ounces of shredded cheese, and I'm going to use a Mandolin Slicer to keep these slices even. 2 small Ramekins to place these all in. Cooking spray, assorted seasoning, any kind you like, and I've got some garlic butter I'm going to add at the end to help toast it out. Take the potato and just cut the ends off just to flatten it out. It'll make it easier to handle, and you get even slices that way. So we'll just cut the ends off of the potato. Get our slicer. And this one here has a calibration. You can see the size settings on these: 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/16 inch. So we're going to use an 1/8 inch for this. I'm not sure if you can see the marking on that. There's a little arrow on that, so that'll stop there. We'll get it started. Go about halfway down and slice this potato just to see the size, and I'll show you here. And look at that potato. It's about 1/8 of an inch, just so it's pliable. You don't want it too thick or too thin where it flops over. So just slice about halfway done. Usually when I get about halfway done, it makes me a little nervous on these slices because they are very, very sharp. Be very careful and use the guard if you're at all unsure. So we'll use the guard and finish this up so we can move a little quicker through this. And then we'll just put aside the last piece. It's a little thicker, so if we need it, we'll use it towards the end. So we'll get rid of the slicer, put that in the sink. Next thing we're going to do is take these potatoes and put them in a bowl with some water. You can add a little salt to it. I don't. You want to make sure that the potatoes are all submerged in the bowl. Just that it'll help wash the starch off of it. And also keep them from turning brown on you. So push that aside. We'll crack a couple eggs here. And these are just medium-sized eggs. Again, it's going to depend on the size of your ramekin to how large or how much you're going to need. You can also make this in a muffin tin. I've done that in a muffin tin, but unfortunately, I only have a 6 muffin tin that does not fit in the air fryer oven. So I'll throw a little seasoning, and that's my house blend Italian, some pepper, some garlic powder, and some salt. I have a Himalayan salt that I use, the pink salt. It doesn't need a whole lot, so we're just going to throw a couple of pinches in there, because the ham and the cheese is going to add some saltiness to it too, so you don't want to overdo it at this point. So then need a whisk. Let's get the whisk here, and we're just going to whisk this up just to make sure we incorporate everything, all the seasoning, into the egg mixture. And you don't want to go too crazy on it, but you want to be able to break up the yolks and make sure that it flows pretty easily. You don't want it too clumpy. You can add a little milk in there if you want it creamier or a little puffier. I don't think you're going to need it, and you'll see on the final product that this is going to be just fine the way it is. So now we'll just put that aside, and we'll grab these Ramekins. What we're going to do is going to spray them with some cooking spray. You can use any kind of spray you want, and it'll come in handy. It'll help toast the bottom a little bit, and also getting it out. You'll see how easy it is to take these out at the end of this video. So we have that. We're going to put those aside, and now we're going to take the potatoes out of the water. We're going to pad them dry with some paper towels or a towel, just to make sure they're dry enough. They're not going to have a whole lot of starch on them. So at this point, once we pat everything dry here, we'll start layering in the Ramekin. As you can see, the potato slices are pretty dry, pretty thin. So we're ready to start layering and making the rose part, the petals part. What I like to do is add a few to the bottom. I like to overlap them only because it helps maintain the structure of it. And then I'll take about half a dozen or so, or whatever can fit in your ramekin, and we're going to layer them across. Again, you want to overlap these about halfway. Might have to hold some in here just to get it started. And this is why if you slice them a little too thick, they won't bend around the corners. If you go too thin, they'll tend to flop over the edges. So again, 1/8 inch seems to be the key number, key size that this tends to hold. So as you can see, it's all laid around. Now we're going to put the stuffing in. Use the ham, about half of the ham, about 1 ounce or so, and the cheese, fill that in again with about half the mixture. You might want to leave some for the end so you can coat the top afterwards. And then we'll do the second one, and the second one is same setting again. We can layer the bottom and then do the outside with whatever's left. And again, don't forget to overlap them about halfway, quarter of the way, depending on what you have for potato or the size. There is no real wrong way to layer it this way. It's about visually you want it to look good as much as you want to be eating it. So get a little creative with this. That's fine. I got creative doing it my way here. I just want to make sure that they both look as identical as possible. And this is good for a nice brunch or a gathering or some kind of holiday breakfast. This is great. I just used it on just a Sunday morning breakfast. So we'll put some ham in here and throw some cheese on the top there. And we'll finish up some of this ham here. Put the rest of this cheese on the top. Just kind of, you want to push it down, not too tight, but because you got to make sure that the egg mixture gets within the center and kind of works its way through to kind of bind everything up. So we'll pour half the egg mixture in the first ramekin. Okay, and the other half in the second ramekin. And then we can tap it down a little bit and make sure that the egg gets all the way down to the bottom. Get rid of that bowl, and we'll just tap it down just to make sure everything's seated and the liquid gets through. So I like to spray the top here a little bit with some canola spray or any kind of cooking spray. I use the same one, and that'll help crisp up the top. It'll make it nice and crunchy for you, and it'll be coming out really nice and crispy. And here's my garlic butter that looks like I'm almost out. I probably have to make some more, but this is fantastic. I warm up the butter, add seasoning to it, some raw garlic just minced up in a food processor, add a little bit of olive oil into it, and as it hardens in the fridge, it becomes basically a thick butter or a hard butter substance, which you can place it in some ice cube trays and use it for cooking one piece at a time. That's a nice little trick. So we put that in the air fry oven here. And I set it for 400 for about 15 minutes. We're going to keep an eye on it to see about how long it takes here. I think we're probably going to be closer to about 10 to 12 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on it and we'll check up on it in a little bit. Okay, as you can see, I added just some sliced tomatoes to the top. And this is why you want to be able to spray it. If you look at it, it sticks really nicely. It's pretty still warm. I'm using my oven glove here, but it comes out really nice. Just give it a little twist just to loosen everything up along the edges. And I haven't had any problem just pulling these out. Just be careful. It's still pretty hot. As you can see, the steam coming out. And there you go. You have the 2 breakfast roses, bloomin' roses. And you can add extra cheese to the top. I'm not going to add it for myself here, but you can add it to the top. So we'll just cut through it here and make sure that it's cooked all the way through, but it should be well done here. And again, this was about 10 to 12 minutes in the power air fryer oven. It looks fantastic here. It looks great. It's probably going to be just as tasty. And I like the top part that's kind of crusty and crispy, almost like potato chips. And I'm going to be trying to make some potato chips in a later episode, a later video. And we'll see how that comes out. I'll have to play with the recipe a little bit. And I hope you enjoy it. And keep coming back for more videos. I'll try to get as many videos out there as I can. Any ideas, any comments, I appreciate. And I'll be willing to test anything in case you have some questions. So make sure you subscribe, like, and comment.